I was lucky enough to be invited by Nintendo to go and check out their Nintendo Switch 2 experience event in London, and it was amazing. I was one of technically the first people in the UK, let alone the world, to play on the Switch 2. This event is a whole new thing for me. I've never attended any sort of event before. I suffer a bit with pretty bad anxiety at times. I'm very nervous when it comes to, you know, the unknown, traveling to a big city like London, which I haven't been to for many, many years, since I was probably a kid. So this was a big thing for me. The whole experience was amazing, and I'm so thankful to Nintendo for not only allowing me to come to the event and experience the Switch 2, but just to give me an opportunity where I knew I had to go out of my comfort zone because I would enjoy it so much. I had a great experience, and honestly, my anxiety was so low because everything just went well and good, and everything was fine, and it was great. I had a great time, and my brother did too. I was able to take my brother to help me do some filming, so he was my cameraman. We went up on the Thursday night. The event was on Friday, which means that we were the first people to get hands-on with it in the UK. The event itself goes for the whole weekend, but we were there first thing Friday morning was when we were allowed in. But we went up Thursday night, we jumped on a train and went down to London, got on the underground, did all that stuff, found our way to the Excel Centre, the Excel Stadium, whatever it's called, the Excel venue that the event was taking place at, booked a hotel for us for the night because we were going to go to the Nintendo event. I believe it opened at 9 a.m. We had to be there at 9 a.m. to start experiencing the Switch 2. So we wanted to make sure that we got a good night's sleep, and we were right there, ready to go the next day. The day of the event came around. So we had to get down there early to make sure that we checked in and got all that stuff in. They checked us in and gave us wristbands, and we then queued up and we waited for 9 o'clock when the event would officially start. This is how it went down. I'm going to give a bit of a rundown. Obviously, footage will be on screen as best as possible relating to what I'm talking about, or just more footage of the event. We took a whole bunch of footage and hopefully we covered a lot of stuff. We played a lot of the games that were there and experienced a lot of the stuff to do with the Switch 2, and just a lot of the new things, the, improved resolution, improved frame rate, new games, all of that stuff. There was a whole bunch there. We were rubbing shoulders with celebrities in the YouTube game like Jacksepticeye, who I actually caught on video in the background while we were moving around the venue. That's pretty cool. He's an absolute legend. Massive respect for him, and to be in the same room as him at the same event, and I guess being treated the same way. He wasn't like cornered off from anyone else. He was just there like everyone else was, playing the games and enjoying the Switch 2. So that was amazing. That was really awesome. When 9 o'clock came around, they brought us into the first room. So this was all very behind closed doors kind of thing. Like the first door to the event opened, and that was literally just a room that we queued in, ready to go in. They took us through into the first area to a round of applause and whooping and hollering from the staff that were there. Big thank you and big shout out to all the staff that were there. They were all really lovely, really, really kind and just nice, and made the experience that much better. The first room we went into, we had lines and lines of TVs and switches. I think we counted it was about 50 different stations that you could play Mario Kart World, which is what we started playing. That was the first thing. That was our first experience hands-on with the Switch 2. And Mario Kart World is awesome. It is different. There are a lot of differences. Obviously, we have the new grinding mechanic, the actual race mechanic. Instead of being a circuit, it's like 3 or 4 tracks that you do, and you do them in a line rather than it being a circuit like you're used to. At least that was what we experienced there. The experience of playing with the Joy-Cons, again, they feel great. The Joy-Cons are really good. They definitely feel like an improvement from the Switch 1. And playing handheld, I played both handheld and through the dock on the screen, playing Mario Kart World in that first room, and I had a great experience. I'm not good at the game, and the person that was, showing us around the game and stuff, they definitely kicked my ass at the game. They beat me in my Mario Kart races, but when Jake stepped up, he avenged me, and he actually came first, I believe. He had a great time as well. He was glad to be able to access and have a go on the Switch 2, and I think it's fair to say we've both pre-ordered the Switch 2. We're very excited for it. It's a great seeming console. I understand the price is higher than people maybe expected or maybe would like. I get it. We'd all like things cheaper. but from playing it and getting hands-on with it, it's going to be a great console. And throughout the video, you'll see more of the experiences we had. So a few differences I noticed in Mario Kart World. First of all, you can do tricks. You know, like when you drift, you would hold the trigger and you drift. Now, you can just hold that while you're going in a straight line and you will sort of build up this boost and do a little trick. And Jake sort of figured out that that was how you would jump onto a grind. If there wasn't like a ramp up onto the rail, you can do that to sort of jump onto a rail that's at the side or something to do the grinding and stuff. We never really got fully experienced in wall riding. Jake did it a couple times when he was playing the knockout mode later in the venue, later on in the day. But that maybe seems to be a similar thing, that you want to do the jumping mechanic to jump onto a wall to wall ride. But it was a cool feature. It's cool to have these new things that you're able to do in Mario Kart. There was a bunch of new items like a golden shell, which drops a line of gold coins in front of you. We never fully decided whether the gold shell actually, if it hits somebody, whether it damaged them like a normal shell, but the gold shell drops coins. That's all I can tell you. In terms of drifting, the drifting feels different. Now, me and Jake spoke about this a lot after the event. The drifting isn't, we wouldn't say better or worse. It's not an improvement because drifting in Mario Kart 8 was fine, right? It felt good. But the drifting sort of, it has a bit more realism to it. It's slidier in the beginning, I guess, but it clicked very easily and it made sense. And even though I've just started playing the game and it was the first thing we did, I sort of got to grips with it and got comfortable with it. Now, all the Mario Kart experiences, they put you on kind of like the easy mode, if that makes sense. They put it on the mode where you can't accidentally drive off. It helps you steer and stay on the track. That was a feature that was on. It saved me a couple times from driving off the track. I'll give you that. I'm not sure if like the automatic driving feature was on. I know in Mario Kart 8, that was a thing. You can have the automatic steering where it kind of keeps you on the track a bit, and you can have the automatic driving where it makes you drive. I'm not sure if that was on or not. We were just holding the button to go like we would normally. At home when I play Mario Kart, I play with none of those assists on. So it'll be fun to experience Mario Kart once we're able to get it in our own homes and play it fully, you know, without the assists. That will be a slightly different experience. Nonetheless, it was awesome. So after we had our initial little play around, both handheld and on the screen with Mario Kart World, we were then allowed to go into the larger area, the bigger room, which had all the other games and all the other experiences you could do. And you just queued up and you could go and do them, and you could come back and forth and just walk around this entire massive room and experience a whole bunch of stuff. So the first thing that we went to was the first thing that we saw, but another big game, which is the new Donkey Kong Bonanza game, which I said when I saw the direct and when I did my video on the direct, it seemed very much like a Mario Odyssey-esque game, but with Donkey Kong. And having played it, yes, there is definitely that element to it. It's a whole new game in the fact that it controls completely differently. You're Donkey Kong, you're able to break through walls, you're able to dig. It's got a lot of obviously new mechanics and new stuff to it, but you are basically hunting around the level the same way you sort of did in Mario Odyssey. You're hunting around levels, trying to find the moons. In this, you are going around the level, solving puzzles, hunting for bananas. They are effectively the moons in this game. And it's a really great game. When I played it, I played it with the Joy-Cons. They did have some stations set up with the Pro Controller and some set up with the Joy-Cons. I played it with the Joy-Cons. That was just the station that was available. I got to play with the Switch Pro Controller later on, the Switch 2 Pro Controller later on at the event. So I have opinions and stuff on that. But Donkey Kong Bonanza, super fun. Obviously an entirely new game, which I didn't know the controls to, and I didn't realize having somebody stood there, you know, an attendant, a member of staff at the event standing next to you, they're able to help you and explain the game. Didn't realize how nervous that would make me and how awkward I felt playing a game and being like, I hope they're not judging me too badly for how bad I am at the game, how lost I am, how confused I am at the controls, because I was bad at all those things. So yeah, learning the controls is a whole different thing, but they were there to help and sort of guide you if you got a bit lost or confused and give you a few tips. All in all, Donkey Kong Bonanza, super fun. Definitely a game I'm going to get. Like I said, very Mario Odyssey-esque. It felt good. It felt fun. The fact that you could like just dig through a wall, you could look at the map and you could be like, oh, I want to go to that area. Oh, how do I get there? You don't have to like figure out platforming. You can just be like, oh, I can just dig through this wall and punch through it. Super cool. Had a great time with that. The mechanics on that game are great. They felt really good. It was super fun, and I definitely think that's a game that's going to do really well. Definitely holds the place for a new Mario before we get a new 3D Mario. It's definitely along that line. After that, we did have a play on Breath of the Wild. We had a look at the Breath of the Wild sort of enhanced experience that's coming to the Switch 2, and that was the first time I got hands-on with the Switch 2 Pro controller, which feels great. It feels amazing. I don't know what it was, but immediately my first reaction once I picked it up and sort of wiggled the sticks was the sticks felt great. They're so springy. I don't know what it is about them. I don't know whether that's necessarily a good thing. I liked it a lot, but the sticks super springy, and the controller all in all felt great. I haven't pre-ordered the Pro 2 controller, and neither has Jake. Jake, my brother, actually, he really wants to pre-order it now, having played with it. I'm trying to persuade him not to. He's a uni student. He doesn't have a lot of money, and he shouldn't be spending the money on that. While it is great, and it is awesome, and it feels great, the Joy-Cons on the grip itself, we played with the Joy-Cons on the grip a couple times, and again, it felt great. I mean, you're getting all the things you're getting with the Pro controller on that. You've still got the chat button. You've still got the buttons on the back. They are still there on the grip, the programmable ones, like they are on the Pro controller. So you do have a full controller with both Joy-Cons on a grip, the same way you would with a Pro controller. You're not missing anything. There's nothing on the Pro controller that you're not getting, other than the Pro controller is a Pro controller. It is differently shaped. And I can't say whether the sticks are Hall effect sticks or anything like that. I don't know. They're just incredibly springy, so maybe there's something there, but it wasn't anything that was mentioned or shown or anything I've seen be confirmed, but it feels great. So we played Breath of the Wild. That was the game that we just went for. We played that, and we did a little bit of the starting of the game just to see the graphic difference, to see the frame rate difference and all that. You could definitely tell it was much better. It looked great, and I feel like these games that have been enhanced for Switch 2 are definitely games I'm gonna have to revisit when I get my Switch 2. I'm gonna have to replay Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom because they just look extra good running on the Switch 2 in this enhanced version. I played the beginning of the game a little bit, and then I moved to did I move to handheld mode, I think, for the second bit, where we played a bit of a load file. In my load file, I just loaded up the first load file that was there, which turned out to be Kakariko. And so I was in Kakariko, and I didn't know what to do with myself, because I was like, I don't, you only have like sort of 10, 15 minutes or whatever it is on the demo before, it ends and you move on. And I was like, I don't want to waste my time. I want to make sure that I do stuff while I'm playing. So I tried to leave Kakariko but I kind of went a wrong way. It's been a while since I played Breath of the Wild, so I didn't know which way to go. I tried to leave the village a bit and just end up at a dead end, so I sort of just looked out of the world to have a look at how it looked now, and then I did decide to go back in and sort of engage the cutscenes in the game, just to see how the cutscenes had changed and how they looked and stuff. So you can definitely see the improvement. You can feel it and you can see it, and it looks great. It does look great. It's almost that with Breath of the Wild, particularly because it has been such a long time since I played it, and maybe such a long time since other people played it. If you got the Switch when it came out and you played Breath of the Wild sort of on launch and you haven't touched it since, it's going to have been a while since you've played it. And the visual improvements and the frame rate improvements and stuff and the resolution improvement sort of give it that feel of, when you think of a game you played in your childhood, like a really nostalgic game for you, and you remember it looking amazing and being incredible, but now you go back and look at it and you go, yeah, graphically that doesn't look as good as I thought it did. That's how these enhanced games feel. They feel like you've gone back and looked at a game that you remembered being amazing, and it's even more amazing looking than you remember. I hope that makes sense. So that was Breath of the Wild. What did we do after Breath of the Wild? Jake's a big fan of Yakuza, so he wanted to go check out Yakuza. I haven't played Yakuza, so I don't know. So we went over into the 18 plus area, which was where Cyberpunk was and where Yakuza was. We didn't play Cyberpunk. There was a lot of people queuing for Cyberpunk at that time, and we weren't too incredibly fussed about checking out Cyberpunk. So yeah, we went in there and Jake checked out Yakuza. He played it handheld mode, and he seemed to really enjoy it. He said the colors seemed a lot brighter, a lot more visually, it looked a lot better. So I'll put in some footage of that so you can check it out for yourself if you're a particularly big fan of the Yakuza games. It looked really good. After that, they had a section which was the GameCube section. So the GameCube games that are coming to the Switch Online, we went over to check that out because GameCube is a console that I remember very fondly from my childhood. Love the GameCube. And finally, Wind Waker's coming to the Nintendo Switch. So of course, that was my game of choice when we went to check it out. The GameCube controller itself is something that I think I might want to get my hands on. I really like it. I bought the N64 one when the N64 came to the Nintendo Switch Online. I like being able to play the game with the correct controller. It just feels right, and the N64 is a big nostalgia, a big favorite console of mine, as is the GameCube. So I would love to get the GameCube controller. It feels great. It's very light. That's something I mentioned to Jake while I was playing. It's an incredibly light controller. You couldn't tell exactly how light because obviously all of the switches, all of the controllers were like cabled down so that, you know, you couldn't walk off with them. They were attached to the desk somehow, but you could feel that the controller itself was quite light. It's strange, I guess. I don't know why I expected it to be heavier than it is, but it's a very light controller. You've got all the buttons you remember from the GameCube, but you also have like a little tiny ZL button on top. So you've got all of the buttons that you would need to, I guess, play a normal Switch game. Because thinking about it, the GameCube controller, unlike the N64 controller, which is very different to a more modern day controller, the GameCube controller kind of makes sense when you compare it to a normal controller, right? You've got your two sticks, which you do on the GameCube controller. You've got 4 buttons with your A, B, X, Y, which you do. They're different shaped, but you do have them on the Switch. And so you also have the other sort of D-pad buttons, which again is just 4 buttons, but it can function as a D-pad and it's laid out like a D-pad. You've got the triggers, you've got bumpers. So you kind of do have every button you would need on a Switch controller or a set of Joy-Cons, Switch Pro controller, whatever you're using, to be able to play these games, and all the buttons make sense and it's fine. So yeah, theoretically, you don't need a GameCube controller to play these games. I'd like one. They're just cool. It was really cool. I liked it. Wind Waker, again, it's running sort of in an emulator kind of way. You're not getting like Wind Waker HD. We were told, I think, that the graphics had been improved for the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube stuff, but it was just fun to play. It was just great to be able to actually play Wind Waker. I've never played Wind Waker properly, and this is going to be my opportunity to finally play Wind Waker correctly on a Nintendo system without having to go and buy a GameCube or a Wii or something to play it. I'm going to be able to play on my Switch, which I'm super looking forward to. And that experience was great. While we were doing that, there was a lady that came and she was like, "Do you mind if I record you guys playing?" And I'm like, "No, go ahead." I don't know who she was or where she was from or if that footage is going to end up somewhere, but I'd love to see it because that would just be cool to see me playing GameCube. Love that. Obviously, they had the other games available on GameCube. We didn't play those. I just wanted to go for Wind Waker. It was the one I really wanted. Of course, they had a whole area of Switches on display where you could go and look at them in cabinets. You could look at the Switch and the dock, carry cases, the Joy-Cons, Pro Controller, accessories, all of that stuff. So we made sure to go and get some lovely shots of that because you want to have a good look at your Switch 2 and all your accessories you can get. And that was really awesome to be able to look at those. We decided we needed to go and play something that used the mouse. The mouse thing with the Switch 2 is a new innovation that's coming to the Switch 2 from the Switch 1, and it's definitely something we wanted to check out while we were there. The game of choice we went for Metroid. We felt like that was more up our street. We're more into that than we are into the basketball game. Didn't get a chance to play the basketball game, and by the time we'd done everything else we wanted to do, the queue for that was huge, so we decided to not check that one out, unfortunately. But we did check out Metroid. Now, Metroid, both me and Jake were going into this not having played a Metroid, or at least not remembering to have played a Metroid, and not a franchise that we're super into or anything like that. And we were going into this going, you know, we're checking out the mouse, but we both came away from that experience going, I think I'm going to buy that Metroid game. That Metroid game was super fun. The mouse usage on that game was great. It worked. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I will give you that. It's a very new way to use a controller. Now, I'm a PC gamer. I play a lot of PC games, so I use a mouse. I understand that. You are kind of holding it like a claw grip. And there were multiple times while I was playing the game where it would give me the button prompt to do a jump or whatever it was to do. And I would reach for the button on the side of the mouse Joy-Con, if that makes sense. You're using the other one, you're using the joystick. Kind of, so you're holding it like a normal one, but the mouse one is being used like a mouse and you're moving it around on the desk. But I would have to reach for buttons on the controller, and like A, or is it B? I forget which one's the one. Hang on, have I got a Switch controller? A. So A, the button on the right, it's not the comfiest to reach. That's one thing I will say. I really hope that attachments come out that enable you to have the buttons easily accessible via your thumb, because they're not super accessible on the side. Now, something, again, me and Jake talked about this afterwards. It's possible because a lot of the button prompts that it was giving me had an alternate button prompt. So it's possible that every button that I was trying to use on the mouse one had an alternate on the left-hand Joy-Con, but in my playing, I just didn't notice or I missed it. So if that is the case, that's fine. Other than that, the mouse works really well. The aiming and shooting, it makes sense. It acts exactly like a mouse. It's got very good, it's got good movement. I don't know how to describe it. It's got really good movement. And we were told by the guy that was helping us there that he's seen people put the Joy-Cons on their legs and use the mouse on their leg, and they're still able to play the game fully without having all the desk space to do it in. So theoretically, you could play it with it on your leg, and you don't need a desk or a coffee table or something to use that mouse capability. Now, I didn't test that. He told us after the fact, I think. That's pretty cool, because that was one thing I thought, with the mouse games, it's a cool function, but I need to be at a desk. It's not something you can play sat in your living room on your sofa playing on the TV, but apparently you can, so that's pretty cool. But it worked really well, and at this point the guy actually asked us after, he was like, how did you find the mouse control? And I explained, I said, oh yeah, no, that was really good, but the buttons were kind of hard to reach. And he was like, I found that too, like sometimes your hand's a bit like cramped up and stuff. And we were both kind of surprised that he said that. We assume that these people, that the staff that have been brought in, don't work directly for Nintendo. They maybe work through some sort of agency and they've been hired for it. He wasn't crapping on it by no means. He was a lovely guy. He was just giving us his opinion of it, and I agree with him. Some of like trying to reach the button while you're also using it in mouse mode is a bit cramped and difficult, but the functionality of the mouse worked really well and it was super cool. I can definitely see more mouse games coming to the Switch and they would work perfectly fine. It was great. Jake then wanted to go back, play some more Mario Kart, so we went over to the Mario Kart knockout area. So that was the new knockout mode of Mario Kart World, which is you're driving a race, and when you reach a checkpoint, that is where the bottom however many will get knocked out, and you want to make it to the top spot. That's the aim, to win. So Jake played that. I filmed him playing that. I didn't play that myself, but it was a great experience. By far, one of the noisiest areas of the event was the Knockout Mario, because the staff were really getting into it. And like, as you're playing, you're also really getting into it. You're like, oh, am I going to make it? It tells you, you know, you need to be in the top 16 or whatever to get through. And you're racing along and you're picking up your power-ups and you're just hoping for like a bullet bill to try and like scoot through and make it through into that next round. And Jake did really, really well, surprisingly. He was surprised how many times he managed to get like a bullet bill and the boost at the same time and just power through to like third place to make it through that checkpoint. Super fun mode, possibly one of my favorite modes, and I think really great to bring to the Switch 2 Mario Kart. Mario Kart now, when we play it, I don't really play the battle mode and stuff very often. I am more playing the Grand Prix stuff. So being able to have another mode that arguably might be more popular for me jumping into some Mario Kart is to play the knockout mode than the Grand Prix. Having both of those now, having actually more stuff to play is super cool. What was really cool is while you're waiting in the lobby for the knockout stage, while we're waiting for everybody else to join, you actually just get to free roam and you can just drive around. You can go anywhere you like and you can explore and find secret hidden things, which we have no idea what the purposes of them were, but it was super cool. And that was when Jake kind of got a little bit to grips-ish, got to experience the wall riding aspect, and that was super cool. It was great to be able to play that new stuff. I'm trying to think what else we played. It was such a cool event. We spent, I think, 3 hours in the event itself. We had up to 4 hours, but by that time, because we were the first lot allowed in, and slowly, like, they added more groups into the hall, it got slowly busier and busier. So by the time that we'd sort of played everything that we wanted and sort of experienced most of the new things, it was about 3 hours. And when we left, Nintendo were kind enough to give us goodie bags as well. Got my Nintendo Switch goodie bag here, Nintendo Switch. So they gave me like a mug and a bottle and a notebook and stuff in there, which was really cool and sort of unexpected from the event, but super lovely of them and just amazing. We had a great time. I would definitely consider going to more events. Obviously, it cost me money to pay for the train and the hotel and stuff. That was, you know, not covered by Nintendo. They were kind enough to give me early access to the Switch 2 and invite me to the event. I don't expect them to pay my travel and stuff as well, but it was 100% worth it. Such a good time. Me and Jake had a great time. The weather was lovely. We actually got to experience London in lovely weather. It was beautiful, and we just had a great time all round. It was a great experience, and there was like a load of people there. It was great to see a bunch of other creators there doing kind of the same thing we did. You wouldn't necessarily know who they were. I didn't know everybody. I didn't go, oh, that's so-and-so and so-and-so. Obviously, like I said, we saw Jacksepticeye and I saw Cat Icarus, which I enjoy watching his stuff. Dara O'Brien, the comedian, was there. So it was just cool to see all these people just enjoying the Switch 2, having a fun time with it. And I think it's going to be a really successful console. I know the pricing has been a big talking topic, but when it came down to playing it, it's such a great experience and it's so much fun. I think it's going to sell well and do great. And if you're interested or you're a bit on the fence, it plays so well. It was such a fun experience on all the games that we played. They haven't paid me to say any of this. They were just kind enough to invite me to the event, and massively appreciate that. I am actually an affiliate with Nintendo now, so if you want to go and check out or buy any of the games or pre-order any of the controllers or the console or whatever, just go check the links in the description. It would help me out massively. I would really appreciate it. It helps support me a little bit, and it's an awesome thing to be offered by Nintendo to be able to do this affiliate thing. So I'm going to try and promote that a little bit more every now and again when I'm playing a Nintendo game or doing something Nintendo related. So yeah, so there we go. That was our experience playing the Switch 2 at the London Nintendo Switch 2 experience. Great time, great people. Can't thank the staff and the security and everybody more. They were great. Everyone was really kind and generous and helpful. Huge thank you to them. Huge thank you to Jake, my brother, for coming along with me and helping me film and deal with all the trains and stuff. It was great to have him there. It was great to be able to take my brother to something really unique, something he wouldn't have had, you know, the ability to go and do without the fact that I do YouTube and do this thing, therefore get access. And thank you everyone for watching and enabling me to get to a point where I'm able to do stuff like this. Thank you everyone for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.